Well, you know, one thing's just occurred to me. We didn't call him Dad back then. He was Papa. It was after Nelta went off and got a college degree
that we called him
and
Dad.
she came back home calling him Dad.
And Mother.
And
Mother.
Yeah, Mom and Papa became Dad and Mother.
Yeah,
but Dad didn't much like it, really, when we started calling him that. And he told me one time it sounded like a nickname. And I said, well, it's just because Nelta's the one that's gotten educated. And,
thanks.
Well, I'm glad you changed it up.
I remember, though, one of the funny things Dad did when you, Betty, were going to get married. He'd call me from wherever I was. I think I was working in San Antonio. Said, Nelta, can you come home for the Betty and David have decided to go ahead with their promises and intentions, their plans and
obligations and intentions.
Yes, they didn't say their plans for marriage or their wedding plans, their obligations and intentions.
Yeah, and Nelta helped me get dressed up at that wedding. I think we did it one day and married that night or the next day or something. And she was the one that helped me get all fixed up for that wedding.
I don't remember that.
Yes, you did.
A sense of humor.
Yeah, and
they did.
Different types.
That's very dry.
Well, he didn't caution us about that foolishness too. I don't know how we got to be the fools we are.
But he'd laugh at himself.
We had Mother, just giggle, just giggle.
Yeah, he'd chuckle. You just see him chuckle.
Yes, and now my stomach shakes just like his, and I think about it. I have my daddy's figure. Yeah.
But Mother could get as tickled as the rest of us.
She did. I remember that more in later years, even.
Much more, because she was a little restricted in the earlier years, because Dad might call her down. Voller.
That's right. You have to behave yourself in a certain kind of a way. Yeah. Well, of course, something else we haven't talked about is the new cars Dad would get. And how proud he'd be of the new cars and dust them. Get that plus.
They had to go in the shed every night and under the shade trees during the day.
Do y'all remember the first car you ever had?
No, tell us.
It was an old touring car Star.
I remember it.
And it, no glasses to roll up, a regular two-seated touring car, but lands, we thought we was flying high.
Well,
we were.
Not everybody
and when you
had
know that he didn't buy those cars on credit either.
No, we didn't buy them until he could pay for them.
Might have been Paul Riddle had a car, but then out Papa's. And I don't know if anybody else had a car in Dale then.
I don't remember.
Not many. Paul Riddle had one.
I bet Paul Riddle had one.
Paul Riddle had one, and then Papa got one, and that's the first two cars that I can remember in Dale. I don't think just Mr. Moore had one at that time.
Well, the first car I remember was the green Essex.
Green Essex. Well, that was the next one then.
Well, wasn't there a touring Chevrolet in between the Star and the Essex?
Well, now there might have been.
The one Mother tore the curtain on,
learning
to drive and back down that deck and down.
The old Star was the first one. And
rolled down that hill, town hill.
Yeah, back.
Her and Chris going to Lockhart, going up Town Hill, it wouldn't make it, and it rolled all the way back.
And the tree snagged that plastic curtain, window curtain.
Yeah.
Don't
and
you know she's in trouble?
Worried. I don't remember how it came out.
Oh, I don't remember, but I think Aunt Grace was with her.
She was.
Yes.
Well, Mother told her that on herself. So
but that's one thing that we did. We did pretty well all sit down for the meals together. And now
breakfast.
Except at night. Dad ate by himself at night because he'd come in late.
Well, seems like I remember more supper time all together.
Yeah,
maybe that was.
I remember mostly all the time we ate together.
We ate together, except do you remember how he would come late and we'd
from the post office?
8 o'clock or so.
I bet he had to meet a train.
He got later on in life, he got where he came earlier. But I can remember back when we all ate and Dad would eat by himself at the kitchen cabinet.
Then those trains, they
remember
came, I
that
think,
too.
one in the morning, one in the evening. Dad had this little old two-wheel cart.
Mm-hmm.
Then he carried his mail, put the bags in this cart, and he'd take off over at that depot. And Charles, she was telling me the other day, she reminded me on the phone, said, my mother never will forget. She always laughed about Uncle Melvin. That train was coming in and whistling, and Dad, and he didn't have his mail ready in that cart. Said, man, did he hustle and he run across that road over at that depot, pulling that little two-wheel cart with that mail to get there time that train did. She said Mother always laughed about him running so hard to meet that
I
train.
can remember him hurrying across.
Yeah.
That's a story I told my children at nights when we'd be telling nighttime stories, and even the grandchildren.
Well, there were many times. I don't know
listening
when.
for the train.
He'd be at the house and he'd hear the train coming over the hill up by the church house up there, and he would scoot down there. And I don't know what time of the day that was.
It was early morning.
Was it early
One
morning?
came in the
I guess.
morning, one came back in the afternoon.
But when he would hear that one whistle, he'd take off. It usually was early in the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe a beating breakfast or something, and he'd take right on.
Dad died, and we really haven't talked about Dad's dying yet. He retired from the post office after I don't know how many years of service, but he was postmaster for a long time.
It was a long time.
He had gotten him an old blue pickup that he called the Bluebird, and he'd go down to the pasture and take care of his cattle, and he enjoyed that. I don't know how many years it was, though, before he became ill. Why don't some of you pick that up?
I don't know how long before he
became ill.
Well, he died in 63.
No, 64.
64.
Because he died just 6 weeks before Dave died.
So
that was in 1964.
So he was sick of at least 2 or 3 years with this malignancy.
It was abdominal cancer,
2 or
was
3
it not?
years.
No.
I don't think he was. He might have had some trouble.
He had arthritis, but he had surgery like early in the year, like January or something, and then he died like June.
In June. He died in June.
Like 6 months.
After the surgery.
After the surgery.
I don't know if y'all were ever privileged to any of those early morning private discussions that they'd have. If you slept in the little room, you'd hear them.
Of course, we all were.
And the thing that I remember them talking about, and occasionally Mother would really be irritated, it was over his loaning money to members of the family that they knew never would pay him back. And I can just hear her say, Melvin, your own family needs things, and there you are loaning money. And he wouldn't ever give her any response much. But that's the only kind of thing that I can remember them having sort of crosswords about.
He was so soft-hearted, tender-hearted. He couldn't say no. And I can remember her talking to him about it, running up too big grocery bill, too.
Two brothers.
Too big a grocery bills.
But he'd always need it.
He could never, ever say no.
Never
he
turn
was
him
just
down.
too tender-hearted. And I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
He could not have handled it, I don't think. And we had proper music. And
we never did go hungry,
and
did
mower.
we? We never did
No,
go
we had as much as our friends had, so we never felt deprived. I never did.
I thought we were pretty well off.
I did too.
Well, yeah.
I did.
Yeah, because we never were.
Well,
really,
we were as well off as our friends and better.
A close-knit family, and like Biff said,
felt very secure.
Had our meals together.
And I thought many times since I've been grown up and even shared it with Mother that it must have been a real sacrifice for them to send 3 of us to college. But they did it, and I never, ever heard them complain about it.
They never.
Well, they wanted to educate the children.
Yeah.
They wanted.
But it had to have been hard for them to send us.
Financial stress.
But they did it. Yeah.
They sure did.
I shall be forever grateful for them.
Yes, right.
For a lot of things.